Before this video begins, I'd like to thank the Broadwell Park Miniature Railway for allowing me to use their footage of Connex Southeastern and South Central trains in this video. Thank you so much for your contribution. I'm very sure that you know that taking a chance at a level crossing is a very stupid decision. Although British Rail, and later Network Rail, have contributed to installing automatic level crossings and replacing the old wooden barriers, the risk of an accident can still happen, especially at level crossings that don't have automatic warnings. Surprisingly, level crossing accidents are the easiest road accident to avoid. So why do they still happen? They happen because motorists ignore crossing signals or they don't notice them. But this crash happened to be on a day where Valentines cards, flowers, and heart-shaped chocolate boxes were being made for people all over the world. This is the Valentine's Day train crash. On February 14, 2001, Connex South Central train number 1402 was the 1835 service from Brighton to Portsmouth Harbour. The train was originally classified as 4BIG number 7052 in October 1970, then 2204 in April 1985, and finally becoming a 3COP unit in December 1997. Being renumbered 1402 and having its buffet car removed. It's the evening rush hour, and the train is taking people from work and school back to their houses. In total, 35 people were on board the train that evening. The train had just left Shoreham Station and was picking up to track speed. Visibility for the driver on the line was great because of the giant stretch of track that laid out right in front of him. The train was approaching the Old Salts Farm crossing in Lansing. The crossing was a private one, no lights, no sirens, just the telephone which people could use to get permission from the signaler to cross. On the other hand, a driver in a white van was making a delivery to the farm just across the level crossing. Unfortunately, I could not identify the driver of the white van and the driver of the train. Meanwhile, the Connex South Central train was roaring down the tracks at high speed. Then, there was trouble. The driver of the train noticed a white van beginning to drive onto the line. He applied the brakes, but it was already too late. The train crashed into the van at more than 50 miles per hour. The lead carriage was derailed from the impact and the van was completely crushed beyond recognition. The train carried down the line for a few more meters, ripping up rails and ties before finally coming to a halt.
The van was actually across the track right here when the train struck at something like 50 miles an hour, shunting it 100 meters down the line. The driver was still inside. He'd been about to make a delivery to a nearby farm and had been trying to use this private, unstaffed crossing when the train hit. Police investigating how this accident happened say he had a very lucky escape.
Yeah, he certainly did, and we know he's got minor cuts and bruises. He still is in hospital, but after seeing the van, it is a miracle that he actually got out of it alive.
It happened just before 7 last night on the busy South Coast line at Lansing. The Brighton to Portsmouth train was full with commuters. The wheels and axles were ripped off the front carriage, causing the train to jump off the track. People on board spoke of debris flying through the windows. 4 people were hurt. shocked passengers were led to safety.
It's very scary. Apparently we hit a van or something.
Even though the train had derailed, miraculously, no one died. Not even the van driver, who was in that crushed van when the train struck it. Despite the location, emergency services were quickly able to respond to this crossing. When they arrived, only 4 people were injured, and passengers described the impact as with debris flying through the carriages. The 4 people that were injured in the crash were quickly escorted to the hospital by an ambulance. Even though the driver lived, they had no idea what exactly caused the crash to begin with. Either he was in a hurry, didn't see the train, or just didn't care. The part about this crash where nobody died, it reminds me of the West Ealing train crash, when vandals caused the Network Southeast train to derail, resulting in the lead engine going to the scrapyard. Fortunately, at the scene, the English, Welsh, and Scottish Railway, or EWS, had come to help. Their rescue train consisted of a Class 66 locomotive, 2 old vans, gondolas with full ballast, and a giant crane to lift the derailed carriage back onto the tracks. After the train was re-railed, it was escorted to a maintenance depot where its bogie was fixed. The crash resulted in the line being suspended for 48 hours, resulting in signs having to be put up in stations saying that trains were no longer going that way for the time being, and that a bus service had to escort them. As you might have expected, the van that was crushed by the train was sent to the scrapyard. 1402 continued about another year in service with Connex South Central and later South Central, before finally being withdrawn in 2002 and being cut up in April. I hope this documentary has made a valid point that you should never take a chance at a level crossing and try to beat the train. Believe me, waiting for a train to go by is the most selfless decision a human being can make in his or her entire life.